how you provided, how you held me through the night. And I remember how you sustained me when you stepped in to save my life. If I knew then what I know now, I would be still and let you work it out.
Jesus, I was lost in the water, but I never went on. You were always on time. Jesus, when I went through the fire, you were right there beside me. You were always on time. Jesus, I was lost in the water, but I never went under. You were always on time. Jesus, when I went through the fire, you were right there beside me. You were always on time.
And I remember how you carried when I couldn't take a step. And I remember how you loved me when I couldn't love myself.
Jesus, I was lost in the water, but I never went under. You were always on time. Jesus, when I went through the fire, you were right there beside me. You were always on time. You were always, always, always on time. You were always, always, always on time.
Oh, what a faithful God. Oh, what a faithful God. He kept me and He sustained me. There's never been a day, never been a minute, never been a moment that you weren't in it. There's never been a time that you didn't see me through, God. I worship you, Lord.
Never been a minute, there's never been a moment that you weren't in it. There's never been a time that you didn't see me through, God. I worship you. There's never been a day, never been a minute, never been a moment that you weren't in it. There's never been a
right now. Come on, if you need a miracle in your body, the miracle worker's here right now. Come on, if you want Jesus to touch your life, reach out to the Lord right now.
I worship you. I worship you, God.
Come on, maybe you could join up with the person next to you. Pray for them. Ask the Lord to touch them today.